everybody.
Hi all.
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are.
Good night maybe even.
Yeah, indeed. MSI Insiders today, live stream again.
My name is Mike.
My name is Erik. Yeah, we had again some problems to fix, but hopefully everything will be okay.
Should be fine now.
Yeah. So what are we going today to talk? What are we going to talk
if you
about
look
today?
behind us, can you see all the fireworks?
Yeah, looks like a party.
It is a party.
I already see a lot of people in chat partying.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're talking about some sneak peek. No.
Maybe.
Okay, so what are we going to do today?
Well, we're going to celebrate AMD's 50th anniversary.
50. That's even older than me. Can you imagine?
Even older than you?
Even
Are you
older.
sure?
Yeah.
Or did you lost count?
No. Almost lost count.
So 50 years, that's 1969.
Wow, that's that's a long time
It's
ago.
also a little bit older than I am.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about AMD 50.
Yeah. We will have a special guest from AMD later on.
Okay, cool.
Don will call in through Skype. And we're going to talk about the 50 years celebration.
Ah, nice.
So they have some special actions, special products for this 50th anniversary celebration. We're also going to take a look at some blasts from the past from AMD.
Okay.
Later on we will also address a little bit of controversy that we had around
about the CPU issue. You know, it's about the next generation AMD CPUs on the current motherboard support.
So it's like the 300 and 400 series AM4 motherboards.
So we're going to talk with one of the engineers from our issue. What challenges we have in order to make this work, and we're going into more details about this.
It's not just one mouse click to have compatibility on all motherboards.
No.
It's actually a pretty extensive process, and our engineer will talk us all the way through what steps you need to take.
If you have questions or comments or suggestions, please drop them in the chat.
I see we have a very active chat today.
So what else?
Well, maybe if everyone's very nice in chat, at the end, we'll reveal something.
Okay, cool. I already saw somebody talking about a sneak peek, so interesting.
It's definitely a sneak peek.
Yeah, so we also have a giveaway today. Let me find it. We hide it a little bit. Maybe too much. Oh, yeah.
You can already see it behind us. AMD has a special gold CPU package with a 2700X CPU. And there they bundle it. It's like an autographed CPU, and it's bundled with also
move a little bit.
To the side. Yeah. It's also bundled with 2 games, for example, and one of them is The Division 2.
So basically, it's the CPU is the. Oh, let's maybe first do the giveaway. I mean, that's what everybody's waiting in.
So if you get the Gold Edition CPU, you will obviously get The Division 2 Gold Edition. Yeah. But we will also give away. For us, it's the standard edition, but we will give away several codes for The Division 2. So go to msi.com/2/insider. There you will see certain actions you can perform, and the more actions you perform, the bigger chance you will have to win one of the game codes.
Yeah, I want to add something on that. Maybe we can ask everybody to share it on Facebook, and then give away some extra game codes based on that.
So if you have a certain amount, that we try to fix some more codes.
Maybe each 100 shares.
An extra game code.
Yeah, an extra game code. So maybe
we'll have a couple by default, and based on how many shares, we will add some more.
So you can go to msi.com/2/insider. There you can find the giveaway. So I'm now going to post the direct URL for people who cannot see it on this website, but please check it out. And I'm going to post a Facebook link, and then later I will check. So yeah, you can.
So maybe we can already take a look at the special promotion page that AMD made for their 50-year anniversary. So here we see Lisa Su. She's the CEO at AMD currently. And the Gold Edition CPU actually comes with her autograph on it. It's also an interesting thing. And this, I think, is really cool. They made a full timeline with all the milestones from the past 50 years. And it goes all the way back to 1969. So that was when it was founded. And their headquarters were based in Sunnyvale, California.
So I'm now posting the Facebook.
Yeah, I see some people in chat who cannot see the giveaway on the landing page. So Eric will now post a link in chat directly. So if you follow that link,
I'm trying to post, but it doesn't. Anyway, I'll fix it.
let me see. It seems like the chat bot thing is offline. Okay, Eric will try to fix this. We'll just continue. So also in '69, they had their first CEO. And this is a familiar face for you, right?
Yeah, this was.
This is like way before my time.
Yeah,
I was born in '91, so.
He was like an iconic CEO. You know, a lot of people were like, he was like a boss. I think.
What do you remember him for most?
Well, he says real something like real men have own fabs, own factories. Yeah, that was he was famous for. This is a long time ago. I think he. When did he leave? Do you know?
Retired in April.
Yeah, something like that, indeed. This
So
is around,
from
this around
1969 to 2002.
yeah, this is around the time I joined MSI.
That's like 33 years almost. Yeah.
Let me continue with this.
There's a quote from him as well. People first, products and profit will follow. It's one of his most famous statements. And AMD still follows the motto. So 1st of September 1970. I think the 1st of September is a great date, by the way. It's my birthday. This is just 21 years earlier. So that's the industry's first binary hexadecimal up-down counter created by AMD. So still, it looks pretty ancient actually. But this is 70, so 49 years ago. AMD goes public in 72 by selling 500,000 shares at $15.50 each.
I succeeded. So I posted both the giveaway direct link and I posted the Facebook page link you can share.
We're in 79, stock exchange. To the New York Stock Exchange, had their debut.
Yeah, that's IBM indeed. I remember them. You know, in the beginning, you had like, you know, you had the Intel CPUs and the same socket. You also had, I think, Cyrix CPUs, AMD CPUs. You know, everything was
Cyrix. This is like way before my time.
Yeah. I still have some old brochures with me. But this started not like '99. This was actually quite funny. This is the
Oh man, look at the design of this. Maybe show it in the camera in front.
Yeah, detailed. So this
I'm wondering if this will work. Maybe, yeah, it's a little bit keyed out because there's some green in it.
Quite interesting at that time. You had like Intel chipsets, and you had third-party chipsets. So it's not like AMD. And then if we look into this, yeah, it's the green screen. Yeah. It's a nightmare. But here you see some VIA chipsets, and they all support Intel, but also AMD. And here you have some. You see already the K7, MVP4. So yeah, all this stuff, you know.
So that's pretty cool. That you can have either Intel or AMD on one motherboard.
Yeah, indeed. And these were the main boards at that time in '99. So we didn't have marketing names at that moment. It was all based on MS codes. And actually, I can show you one. Let me go to this.
I went through the timeline. In 1998, AMD introduced their 3D Now technology and its K62 family of processors.
Yeah, so this is one of the boards of 90.
So that's like this era.
Yeah, this era indeed. And this, let me check the marketing name. Let's say the code, the name. It's MS-5169. And our engineer told me, or our technical support guy, he told me, whoa, we had like 7 revisions of this mainboard. And this in the brochure, it says revision 4.0B. I don't know what it means.
So back then, what did they change from revision to revision?
You know, it was a lot of stuff because this was like Super Socket 7, and this platform lasted for a very long time.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
Super Socket.
this was based on the one you see behind here. It was based on an Aladdin chipset for Socket 7.
I know the Disney version, but
yeah, it supported
chipset version.
Cyrix M2, the AMD K6, the K6-2, the K6-3.
Up to how many megahertz?
Pentium MXM. This was not megahertz. Yeah, it was megahertz, not gigahertz.
This was still megahertz.
Clock speeds, the FSB was like 100 megahertz.
Okay.
But 66, you know, you had all of those kind of jumpers at that moment. This board.
Yeah, then if you wanted to change your front side bus, you had to.
Not
put
only
a jumper,
front side bus. Even if you had a different kind of CPU, you need to have a jumper. You need to switch around in order to support that CPU.
So it was way more difficult to build your own system. And
and you see it still.
Not just pop a CPU and then it works.
Still see AGP. So I think this is an AGP 2 slot. And this time we also had like I think it's in the brochure somewhere. Yeah, this
and
one.
it also has ESA slots on the bottom, the very large ones.
Yeah. So that's all before PCI Express.
We actually have someone in chat.
K7 was my first AMD. Yeah. So this is still K6, my friends.
That's a diehard.
Yeah. So let me show you this one. So this one, the focus is a little bit different. This motherboard had an onboard VGA. So now we're talking about integrated VGA in the CPU.
Now it's in the CPU.
But then you had a dedicated 3D graphics,
chip,
and this was already...
So like a small graphics card on your motherboard.
Listen to this. ATI 3D Rage 128 VR. I mean VR.
Already back then.
Yeah. And it has 8 or 16, you know, different SKUs. SG RAM. So that's before DDR.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about EDO RAM, so SD RAM.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about USB.
What RAM speeds did you have back then?
I forgot. I forgot. This is like I forgot. Like 400 to 400 I believe, somewhere.
400 or I think that was later.
Yeah. I really forgot. This is a long time ago.
Also.
It doesn't specify here. Anyway, and like this board with VGA on board, it had like no AGP slot. So AGP was just new, you know, because you still have the ESA slots. Anyway, this is a long time ago, and this is actually the oldest brochures I could find of AMD. I even found a.
So this was 99, right?
This was 99. I even found an update, and this is I think 2000 Q1. And there, this is also interesting to show to everybody. Let me.
Roxy is saying in chat, my first AMD was an Athlon 1.2 gigahertz.
So here you see the chipsets. So you have Intel, VIA, K7, Ali, and SIS. So many different chipsets to choose from. And then, so this was the AMD K7 lineup. Sorry, that's the highlight is yellow. Very difficult to see, I know. Doesn't matter. I mean,
it's with a marker, so now it turns gray a little bit.
You know, a few years later, you know, AMD also started with their own chipsets. I think it was the 700 series.
So in the beginning, they still relied on the VIA and SIS chipsets, for example.
Yeah, and this was always a, let me go here. This was always a nightmare because each time some vendor was going to change some things and didn't communicate it, you know, just to make sure the competition didn't have a good, balanced, stable PC. Yeah. So always a lot of updates. That's probably also why this mainboard got so many updates. Anyway, maybe let's check if, maybe you can continue a little bit. I will check if Don is already available.
Maybe you can, because now they cannot see the timeline.
Oh. Where am I?
Oh, you already gave a sneak peek.
Yeah, one.
Let's hope no one saw that.
Capture, this one.
There we are. So in 99, AMD introduced their Athlon processor. So we already saw it passing by in chat. And that was a big step for AMD. So Athlon, that's a bit like what Pentium is for AMD, or for Intel, is Athlon for AMD. So a really long range that continued for many, many years. And we already saw some in chat, 1.2 gigahertz, 1.4 gigahertz. March 6, 2000, the first processor to break the 1 gigahertz barrier. So the ones in the brochure, that was 99, they were still all under 1 gigahertz. Multiprocessing, 2002. So that's also already quite a while ago that this was first introduced. And here we are in 2002. That's when Jerry Sanders finally retired. So he started in 69, retired in 2002. And then Hector Ruiz.
Misfit has an Athlon Thunderbird.
Oh, you still have it?
No,
Or
I
did you?
hope not. This one was really running hot. And around that time you also had Duron, and with the pencil mod, you could, I don't know what year this is. This is K7 for sure. But you had a Duron and with
So beginning of 2000s.
Yeah,
much,
and with a pen. No, this is later. Yeah, like
2002, 2003, something like that.
3, yeah, probably. You could, with the pencil mod, you could, just draw a line, and you could overclock your CPU.
Yeah.
Just
to adjust the front side buttons. Yeah. So finally, 2002, a new CEO. After a long, long time. 2003, also a big step. The first x86 based 64-bit architecture processor. So before that it was all 32-bit still. This is when AMD introduced their first Opteron with 64-bit support. 2003, the Athlon 64FX processors. And this was also a very big milestone. 2006, do you still remember it? AMD acquired ATI.
I remember this because, in the market, a lot of rumors, a lot of media was already gossiping this.
But this was a big thing because before this moment, it was always NVIDIA versus ATI.
Yeah.
And this is when it became NVIDIA versus AMD on the graphics market.
Yeah. So I purchased some ATI shares.
I think that was a good moment to do
it was a gamble. But it needed
to see if it worked out or not.
Yeah, because a lot of rumors in the market, and then indeed, they were purchased.
But like looking back, it was a good purchase.
Still a gamble, you know. Anyway, I'm going to call Don. Let me try to do this.
So let me already grab my earpiece so I can also hear Don.
Yeah, so Don is located in USA, so it's a little bit early for him. And maybe we still need to fine-tune the... Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi.
Hi Don, good morning.
One moment,
guys.
I'm going
Let's see if we can get you on the screen.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think the other one.
Yeah. This one says active speaker, but...
Maybe apply?
There's always an apply button, right?
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah. Can you maybe give me the USB key?
Let me see.
Oh, yeah. No, just give it... Yeah. Thanks.
There you are.
Thanks. I need to update some slides.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So Don, thank you for joining. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
I'll put you a little bit louder because it's really hard to hear you.
Oh, sorry. Let me check my settings.
I have some echo.
I also hear some echo.
Yeah, one moment. We're fixing the echo. Yeah, that should do it.
There we go.
Is that better? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
now I can hear you properly. Good morning.
Awesome.
So what time is it for you now?
For me, it is 9:30 a.m.
Oh, so
how about you guys?
Early morning. Did you have a good night? Good sleep?
No, I had a terrible sleep. I'm sorry, I got a bit of a cold, so if I sound raspy, I apologize.
It's okay. We won't hear it. It's
okay.
Pretty good. So we're already looking a little bit at the... Well, first, congratulations, of course.
Yeah, congratulations.
With the 50th
years.
anniversary.
Not your age, right?
Thank you very much.
That's a long time.
That is a long time in the tech industry. That's actually almost unheard of, right? I mean... it's hard to stick around in this industry where you have to be
There's not
bleeding
many
edge.
companies in the tech industry that are around for 50 years already.
Absolutely.
So we were already looking at your 50th anniversary landing page, where you have a very nice timeline.
Right.
And at this point, we are at 2006 when AMD acquired ATI.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can tell something about that.
Oh wow!
It's
so we're
quite
gonna
a while
jump
ago,
there.
so
Yeah. Did you guys
13
cover
years
everything before that? Before I got on the stream?
Yeah, we went a little bit through it, so we already had like
Okay.
the 1 gigahertz barrier and stuff like that.
Right, the 1 gigahertz barrier, and then we acquired ATI, which was, I mean, a real coup, right? If you guys were around in those days, that was a big deal for a high performance, processor company to pick up really the only one of two major high performance graphics companies. So that was a real interesting time in the industry, and it certainly gave AMD a lot of advantages, right? That we're still the only company that can claim that has high performance processors and high performance graphics. And
this also gave you access to the certain graphics performance within your CPUs, right? That we can still see today in today's APUs, where you also have the high performance graphics integrated in your CPU.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, really, if you guys, it's funny, the enthusiast community, pardon me, generally likes to pay more attention to the highest performance stuff. Of course they do, because that's the funnest stuff. But I've always been enamored by, what does the new technology bring to an entry level user, and if we can raise the bar of the lowest, the lowest end platform, that's really what kind of sets the standard of what developers can support, right? If you
so you really set the standard for the mass, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Ryzen 2200G today, $99 American processor is totally acceptable, and for playing smooth esports, if you want to play LoL or Dota or Counter-Strike Go or any of those games, you really don't need a graphics card anymore, and that's really cool. That really kind of changes what people can expect out of an entry-level PC, and I think that helps. Like I said, I think it helps developers. Again, it gives them license to do a little bit more and really want to push the whole industry forward. And that's one of the ways that we've been doing it, thanks to that partnership.
And it's also really cool with those CPUs, for example, if you have a home theater PC, you can now have a really small home theater PC and actually use it as a game console as well. Right.
And that's good. You guys play a lot of MOBAs? What's your games? What do you guys play, Eric?
I'm only playing Battlefield.
Yeah.
That's all you're playing?
I'm only playing Battlefield.
Eric is really... He needs a dedicated graphics card for all the stuff
he does. Battlefield, you need that.
I occasionally play some Rocket League, and that works totally fine on an APU nowadays.
My son kicks my butt in Rocket League. He ruins me. Like, he's so good, guys. It's ridiculous. You know those guys who can see the ball across the field and, like, start rocketing toward it? And you're like, how do they know where it's going to be? Like, he's that guy.
And that's also the problem with kids in these kind of games. They pick up stuff so much faster than we do.
Yeah, it makes me feel extra old.
Yeah, if they play a couple of months of Rocket League, they can already beat you.
Yeah, it's sad. It's so sad. I used to think I was good at video games, but no.
And also, if you look at the pro scene in Rocket League, they're all very young guys.
Yeah, really, right?
All still in school, but they're so insanely good at those games.
Mm-hmm.
So Don, maybe about the 50 years, let me ask you, which product stands out most for you? What was the biggest milestone?
So the product you remember most from, like,
from AMD?
Times of AMD, yeah.
Man, so there's a couple ways I can answer that, right? On a personal level, when I personally started to get really into computers, it was the socket A time. And for me, the big leap in my experience came with the Duron. I think it was a Duron 600, because for the first time you had this real high performance processor that anybody could afford. It was like, it was really impressive that you could get this kind of performance at an entry level. And like I said, I'm always kind of more impressed at what we can give people on the bottom end. From a historical standpoint, I think the old Athlon and Athlon 64 days were really pretty amazing what AMD accomplished, as a, what began as a second source company for x86 CPUs. We took the IPC mantle and the raw performance mantle, and companies like MSI were right there with us. You guys have been around with us for like 20 years. I'm sure you guys were talking about that.
Yeah, I was just talking about this. This was quite interesting.
We actually found a brochure from '99, so
No
exactly
way.
20 years ago.
And then,
Okay.
I explained to everybody, then you didn't have AMD. It was like Intel and third party, like third party solutions, because you have SIS, Ali, VIA, all the guys who faded away. Probably, they're probably around and doing some industrial stuff. Cyrix CPUs, so like with Super Socket 7, completely different platform.
Right.
And I still remember when you guys started with the Athlon, on the first time we were the first mainboard partner for you, and we wanted to show it on the booth, but this was not really appreciated. So a lot of politics around that time. But in the end, the industry's changed, and this was a long time ago.
So that was cool, right? I mean, AMD's rise to the the head of IPC and the best performing processor, and then for me professionally, it was certainly the launch of Ryzen, right? We came and introduced twice the cores and threads in the mainstream socket and in the Threadripper, in high end desktop, bought levels of performance people just hadn't seen before, and once again, with me, it's the same theme. It's like, how are you changing the industry? How are you pushing forward? Are we sitting on the same number of cores and threads for 10 years, or are we just pushing, making the available power so much more that developers can do more with it and really pushing the industry forward? So those are the three big things for me, for sure.
Yeah, and I think Ryzen also came in the right moment, because in the past you already had like quad core, but at that moment the software was not really optimized. So
we also remained on quad core for quite a while.
Yeah, and in the Opteron, in the Opteron market, in the server market, it made sense because those industrial applications, they were ready for it, but like games not. And now when you introduce like your 8-core, those kind of solutions, the software is also ready for it. So you really benefit in games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even game consoles now have 8 cores, right? So, the developers now have a reason to develop, in parallel. Whereas before, it took a really long time. If you guys remember, like, dual core processors for a long time, the average person didn't really see an advantage. And it's nice that now parallelism is being really embraced by the developers.
Yeah, back then it was also the clock speed was usually more important. So many people, if they played a lot of games, they picked a fast dual core over a lower clocked quad core, for example. But now the scaling is so much better.
It is. I mean, IPC is still king, and so is clock speed is still really important. Those things, and latency, and all those factors. But it's nice that there's another tool in the toolbox, right? And you can make use of these cores that are, because hey, we're bumping into physics. We can't keep going to 10 gigahertz and beyond. We have to do with what we can. So.
We have a question in chat. Can Don explain the whole AMD CPU and GPU naming convention used?
Oh, that's a difficult
my goodness. Okay, so I can explain from the CPU side a little bit. And I mean, essentially, a bunch of people who are smarter than me, and I like to be in the room when it's happening. We sit around and try to figure out a way to that makes sense to consumers for positioning the products. It's that simple. There's no exact science to it. There's a lot of back and forth. You guys would be surprised how much changes over the course of a few months, when we think we have the right naming conventions and the right way to attack it. But there's no smart chart where we decide. It's very much a shoot from the hip and think you're doing the right thing. Having said that, the people who are in charge of this at the moment, and like I said, I have some input into it. We kind of want to stay consistent with what we've been doing. We think the market kind of understands, the tiers that are out there. They know Ryzen 3 is a performance entry and 5 is a good, mainstream serious computing, and 7 is enthusiast. Yeah. So we don't want to mess with something that works too much. But you guys would be blown away if you would have known. If I could show you some of the potential names for first gen Ryzen, you'd think it was crazy. So I think we did the right thing.
We're curious to hear a sneak peek of this.
Yeah, this is also what we have, you know. We also internally, when we come up with marketing names for new products, there's also some crazy names. And, you know, then with legal team, we're going to check for, like copyrights, etc., which names are available. And then you end up with actually the name doesn't matter. The more you use it, the more it makes sense, you know.
Right, that's true.
So
and speaking of just Ryzen, we just wanted to incorporate the Zen architecture into the name, and we had a lot of back and forth about that one. That was an interesting choice, right? When you first heard Ryzen, you're probably like, that's different, but I think it served us well. It really differentiates us.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of name. It's a more consumer
I think for us it was also perfect because we made a slogan like Rise to Glory.
Right, yeah. So there's all sorts of ways to play that. So.
Yeah. We use like that in our campaigns. So maybe we can go to the next topic, Michiel. One moment.
Let me just...
Yeah, let me switch this around. Yeah, so Don is still there, but I want to draw somebody for the giveaway. So if you want to join, you can go to msi.com/2/insider. We're going to give away the Division 2 game code. It's not a gold edition, so if you're going to let me put this on the screen as well.
So if you do want the gold edition,
yeah,
the 2700X Ryzen 7 CPU it comes with 2 games, and one of them is the Division 2 Gold Edition, actually. So Don, can you maybe tell us a little bit more about all the anniversary products you have?
Oh wow, yeah, that was something, right? So we just really wanted to find a way to give our fans something, a reason to celebrate, and the Gold Edition was one of those ways, right? We wanted to just give folks who wanted to collect. Some people have an emotional attachment to a brand, right? Mm-hmm. I certainly do. And if you identify with the brand and you emotionally attach to it, it's nice to have some paraphernalia. So this was an opportunity for us to make, to give people that opportunity to pick something like that up. We didn't want to charge more, but at the same time, we wanted to give some value and make it different. So yeah. We threw in a T-shirt, a commemorative T-shirt that you can't get otherwise. So that was cool. The Lisa Su signature on the processor lid was kind of a cool way for us to just set it apart. We got some good game bundles with our
nice games.
Anniversary stuff, right? So just saying, hey everybody, thanks. We didn't want to go and make a new product that was crazy clocked or for its own sake. We just want to say, hey, if you're interested in us, and you want to have a piece of this 50th anniversary, this is an opportunity for you to get. We've got the graphics cards also and the processor. So that's all there was to it. I think maybe it was nice to give people that opportunity of something simple and try not to go and charge $500 for something that was 100 megahertz more or something. So
yeah, limited edition.
Yeah, right. So it's been fun. Aside from that, it's just a good opportunity for us to let people know that we appreciate their business and we plan to stick around for the long haul, and we have a commitment to being technikers.
Sorry, I only got the sticker. I was waiting for the CPU, but I think they're shipping it, and so it will arrive next week. So I have to do with the sticker right now.
Yeah. And it's a limited run. I don't even get one of these things. It's a fairly limited quantity, so just for folks.
The games are also quite nice because I lied. I said I only play Battlefield, but actually also I play.
The Division is your new other
addiction,
right?
It's choosing between Firestorm and Battlefield and the Division 2.
Division 2.
Yeah, I need not many hours with kids, so
right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I try not to play shooters anymore. It's just too depressing.
Yeah.
Get killed a lot.
Yeah. So our first winner is Raymond Cox. So congratulations with the game code in the coming days.
Raymond.
Yeah, in the coming days we will send it to you. by email. So please check your email account. So now we go to the next topic, and let me go to the capture. So yeah, this to explain you a little bit, one of our support engineers, some person was asking, hey, what about next generation CPUs? Are you going to support it? And he said, well, not on this one, but it's going to be supported on this one. And so media picked it up, and a lot of assumptions in this news release. Probably you saw it, and also a lot of errors. So that's also why we made a statement about this. To be clear, to be very brief, we're still working on it. It's a next generation CPU. It's very difficult to comment on it. Everything is still in the NDA. And this takes time because we want to have good compatibility testing. So what we're going to do, we're first going to talk with Don because this media article also claims that AMD promised 4-year support for the platform.
And that MSI betrayed AMD.
And MSI betrayed AMD indeed. Don, do you still like us?
Oh yeah, you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No problem over there.
Yeah, and it's my hands are a bit tied talking about unannounced products, but I will.
Well, we also don't want to talk about unannounced products. I mean, we can also talk about like 1000 series to 2000 series.
Absolutely.
It's about longevity for the products, and this is always very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's you cannot already design what's going to be in the market for 4 years later.
Yeah, you can only do so much, and if you look at what, I would ask people to, before they knee jerk and assume that something's happening that's terrible, look at the status quo in the industry where our competitor tends to torpedo their socket support after 1 or 2 years, right? So keep in mind, we have made a commitment to try our best to keep a socket alive till 2020. There are a lot of engineering challenges when you're designing new processors to fit an existing socket.
Yeah.
I that's probably all I can say right now, but I think people will be. I think people should be happy with the dedication we've got to this. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the noise that's going out there in the news right now. Just hold up. As we get closer to summer, you guys will see an official statement from AMD kind of clarifying things and explaining things. So just stay tuned and don't freak out. And,
yeah, that's sometimes what's happening. A lot of people can make a lot of noise about basically nothing. And I think, from our point, it's also not logical to have 100% support on all products because it's basically impossible. We saw that in the past when you had your 125 watt CPUs, and then suddenly you had one or a few SKUs, 140 watt.
Yeah, and I think later the 9000 series they went 220.
Yeah. So it's very difficult for.
Of course, you can support them on your top tier products.
Yeah.
But you cannot support a top-tier CPU on an entry-level motherboard.
And that's now the same situation, like will all mainboards do it? Like will A320 chipsets support something in the future? Something maybe in 2019, maybe 2020, maybe 2021, I mean, it's very difficult to say at this moment. So the only thing what we can do, we can validate everything. We are testing everything. So after Don, one of the engineers of MSI SU will join, and then we're going to a little bit more detail. What are the challenges we face? What we need to test? What takes us the time? But also from the software side, compatibility.
All different kind of challenges.
So if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat.
Yeah.
Let me check the chat.
Well, like I said, we can't. Just everybody out there, just give us a while. We'll explain everything really carefully. Don't make assumptions. We'll let you know. It's an unannounced product that we're worried about right now. So just take a breath. It is very gratifying to see how much interest there is in our next gen platforms and products, and I get it. I get how exciting it is, and
that's the point. Everybody is very much engaged and cannot wait for next generation products. So, and then based on a few words, everybody is making assumptions, a lot of noise, and Well, that's also why we have the internet, right?
Yeah. So
That's
just
how.
stay there, folks. We'll get to you. We'll explain it, but now's not the time.
So Jester wants to become a product tester for AMD and MSI.
Of course he does.
Good point. So how are you testing your next generation products? I think this all happens inside the company, right? Nothing goes outside.
Yes. So I mean, there's so many prongs to this. Like, it's overwhelming. As a fellow who's been at AMD for about 4 years now, it's humbling to see how much work has to go into validation. And then, there's validation, right? And that's base level. Hey, does everything break? But then on top of that, it's much more nuanced. Like, you've really got to get a wide number of people testing a wide number of applications. You can't test everything in the whole world. Sooner or later, there's going to be something you didn't test.
Yeah.
And then, if you see something that you didn't expect, you've got to address it. Is it a software issue? Did the developer not develop, for our, let's say, our newer architectures and not taking advantage of it? Maybe it needs to be addressed in firmware. Maybe it's something. So there's just so many levels. It's like I say, it's very humbling to see the amount of resources that are required when you've got a new architecture, if you've got a new feature on a motherboard, if you've got, a new standard. We talked about PCIe 4.0. That's a big deal, right? The Zen 2 architecture, that's a big deal. We've got a bunch of stuff coming in 2019 that's really there's a cost to being an innovator in this industry, and we're willing to pay it, but it's no joke. It's a serious commitment when you're really pushing the industry forward on multiple fronts. And it's nice to be in a position where you can do that, but it takes a lot of engineering work. It is not trivial.
And do you also already engage with software developers in the early stage, when you have your products up and running, let's say in the factory, but they're still maybe half a year away from launch to optimize software, because sometimes you have like a new instruction set, like the 64-bit in the past, good example. How does this work?
Absolutely. So what we'll do is generally in the year before we have something new, we'll try to go to developer conferences across the world, like the Game Developer Conference, the GDC, and stuff like that. Yeah. We try to present, give them a heads up, and be like, hey, here's some architectural nuances that if you want to build your engine and take advantage of this processor before we launch it, or this graphics card, these are levers you can pull to squeeze more performance out of these parts. And
so you're already looking at future game engines for your current generation CPUs.
Yeah, we have to be tied into the big companies and the big graphics engine developers before years sometimes before anything's actually released, to make sure that we're squeezing every ounce of performance out of the parts.
Yeah, well, very interesting, and I think this is also very important, because if you only have the hardware, you always, if you look back in history, you always have those moments when the hardware is running in front of the software, and sometimes the software, like Far Cry. I mean, this pushed everything down to its knees at that moment.
Do you remember Doom 3?
Yeah, Far Cry. I mean Crysis.
Crysis also.
Crysis, all that stuff though. Like Doom 3 was, Doom 3 was probably the first one that got a lot. That was a 9700 Pro, I think. That was
it was right before the transition to PCI Express.
Yeah. Like all that stuff. It's great when those developers do that. And nowadays you can run a Crysis on a 2200G probably, and it would run fast, right? And back in the day, you would sit and stare at the screen because it was so photorealistic. So it's a breakneck pace that we keep moving at. And now it's VR, right? I mean, if you're, I don't know if you guys play with VR a lot, but to me, that's kind of like the next, one of the next gen platforms. You can really get a different experience out of it. I'm really enjoying Fallout 4 in VR right now. Actually,
sometimes it's a little bit too much for me, like the horror games in VR. Like,
right?
No way.
We actually, when we have time, we still want to do a VR live stream with the green screen behind us.
It'd be fun.
But
if we're going to play a scary game, it's not going to be me.
No, I mean, But anyway, you know,
Beat
the
Saber. I'll
technical
join you
setup
guys
we
for
need
that.
to we need to find out how everything works with the camera and with the camera movements. But I think that, and we have limited space here. So, but anyway, that will be cool. And yesterday they announced some new VR headsets. Also nice ones. So higher resolution.
It's also really
integrated
fast developing
tracking.
market.
Yeah, from Steam and.
Yeah, it looks really promising.
Yeah, it looks like interesting stuff. So can't wait to play with that.
I have a question from Jester. He's asking, will AMD be going to the Gamescom in Germany in August? I'm sure you're not responsible for Europe, but do you maybe if you will join Gamescom? I think starts 24th of August or 23rd.
Yeah, I'm not going. Honestly, I'm sorry. I should know that, but I don't know it offhand. I'm not on that team. But
so different department, Jester. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Some guys really makes you wonder what it will be 10 years. Can you maybe give us a look in the future? 10 years from now?
Man, that's hard. 10 years.
I mean, are we talking we have 32-bit, 64-bit. Are we going to 128-bit, or is this not needed? Or
man, you know, it's. Let's talk near future, right? So you got PCI Gen 4 that's going to double your bandwidth, the storage, and the graphics. And, you know, in some cases that's not even bottleneck, but when you build it, right, you give people the opportunity to explore new ways of using bandwidth, using processing power. If we just stay in the current course, I think you're going to see artificial intelligence becoming a much more interesting option on a home computer. I think you're going to see the possibility of definitely more intelligent, as far as it goes with gaming, more intelligent characters, more realistic interactions with PCs. I think that's probably a near to midterm reality that's going to happen. As far as the hardware goes, I mean, it's sky's the limit. The fixed function stuff like graphics, goes in that one direction really fast.
Yeah.
PCs do the CPUs do the opposite. We're going parallel really fast. So
and that's also how your new design is based on, like with the chiplets. It will be much more flexible for the future.
Yeah, and that's the scalability seems to be the order of the day, right? On the processor side, it's how do you build something that you can make go wider? If wider is what we can do, if we can't go, like I said, to 10 gigahertz because of physics is a limiting factor, how do we meaningfully go wider? How do we, chiplets are a great way to do that. What are there other ways to explore to allow parallelism? And I think inevitably, because of the limitations of physics, I think parallelism is going to open doors that we can't even see right now. I don't think 10 years ago you would have guessed that we'd have self-driving cars in 2020, 2021, right? So,
that's always why it's such a difficult question. Like, where will we?
Hey,
will
sorry,
we
I mean, somebody asked it. I'm asking them.
The interesting part is if you look back, if you were alive in the 80s and 90s, people assumed that we'd have flying cars, and nobody thought we'd have self-driving cars.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it's a lot easier to make really intelligent processing algorithms than it is to challenge physics. So that's what we're bumping into, right? We can't raise the clock speeds, but we can certainly do really interesting things with software and AI and machine intelligence. And I think that is I really think that's gonna impact us in ways that that's the thing that's like, I never saw that coming. Like, I didn't know we'd have self-driving car. I didn't know in 5 years that we'd have, intelligent doctors. Oh yeah, I mean, give me a self-driving car, man. I'll be playing games all the way to work. That's the best thing since sliced bread, as far as I'm concerned. I like to drive, mind you, but I'd give that up.
Yeah. And at the point we're there, then you cannot even think of how it was when you didn't have it.
Right?
Like recently, I saw an interview. I think it was like 25 years ago, and they had one of the first cell phones, and they went around the city to show people what it was. And people were responding like, "Why would I walk around with a telephone all day? Why?"
Yeah. It's all about the application.
Yeah, people were like, "Why would I want to be connected to the world all the time?" and
on the other
it's
side,
super standard.
Try to take a person's phone away for a day and see how they cope.
Now you cannot imagine like life without mobile phones, but
it's
back
like
then,
an extra limb.
And it's
really
also
is.
like that with computers, like also the self-driving cars, the processor power, all the stuff you can do with it. Now it still might sound very strange, but in a couple of decades time you could not think of how it was back when you didn't have it.
Yep, before the internet, when you had to go to libraries and read about things.
Yeah, so I have another question from our YouTube channel. Will AMD be getting into SSD or M.2 hard drives in the future, like how Intel has? And I think he's referring to Optane.
Right. I mean, if you're talking about, so I'll split that into different parts. So Optane specifically.
Yeah, I think it's like 3D point of 3D. What is it? 3D point.
Yeah.
Like the production process.
I don't know if that makes sense. I think the storage industry is doing a real good job of driving itself. And from my perspective, I mean, storage tiering is a better solution than a cost adder like Octane. I think you're better off tiering. I think we're going to see more drive tiering because that makes a lot more sense. Instead of having a fast, small SSD and a large, slow hard disk, if you plop those together, you have the ideal solution where the user sees one drive. They don't have to decide where to install their stuff. It automatically optimizes to the speed of the SSD, the stuff you use the fastest. I truly believe that that's a brilliant technology that's going to, StormI is probably just the start of it. We're going to see that proliferate. Having said that, I mean, the storage industry, aside from that, isn't sitting on their hands. Like, we're going to have PCIe Gen 4. That's a lot of bandwidth to play with. I don't think AMD needs to tell the storage industry what it needs to do. I think you're going to see.
They for sure know what they how to utilize it.
Yeah, definitely.
We're all about open standards and letting the experts do their thing, and I don't think proprietary closed standard stuff is the way to go.
So you will more focus on the interface and let the
let them run with it. That's always been our mantra, I think, and I don't see any reason to change that in the near future.
Some people are afraid their computer will kill them in 10 years.
I can imagine, like if AI gets too advanced.
Man, I don't know if you guys ever watched Black Mirror, but it's scary stuff, right? And I think it's important. You've got guys like Elon Musk worried about, what happens in that crazy future. Having said that, I don't think AI is inherently malevolent, right? I don't see any reason for a computer to want to wipe out the human race. I think that so a lot of it's just human fear of the unknown, but you got to be careful with that stuff. I don't want drones running around with handguns. That wouldn't be good.
Doesn't sound like a good idea.
No.
Also, a lot of people are congratulating you. Happy anniversary, AMD.
Thank you. Thanks very much, guys. We really appreciate it.
A lot of AMD
your support
fans.
means so much. It really does. Like it. It's when you're the underdog, you kind of feel tied to the community a little bit more, I think, and it means that much more when the community validates that you're on the right track. So, thank you very much.
Okay, I think thanks for your time.
Yeah,
because you still.
I speak to you again in 50 years.
Right? Yeah. Hopefully, we'll be around with big,
maybe a couple of times in the meanwhile
machine brains, and we'll be living forever. So. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Maybe Skype is still around.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk to your AI computer then.
Right.
Thanks for your time. Have a nice
day. All right, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Don. Have a good
day.
day.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah, so
interesting stuff.
Yeah, indeed. So I'm going to give away another game code.
So for who hasn't participated yet, go to msi.com/2/insider. There you can perform certain actions. The more actions you perform, the bigger chance you'll have to win. And we're giving away multiple codes for The Division 2 that Eric already got addicted to. So I think it's a good game. So who's our next winner?
Our next winner is Semil Akurt.
Semil, congratulations. And if you haven't participated yet, make sure to do so.
Yeah, so I will call
our next guest.
Yeah, our next guest.
Hendry. He's our motherboard engineer in our headquarters in Taiwan. So let's see if we can reach him.
I think he will not like it that we call him. You know why?
For him it's late at night.
Not only that,
And it's a day off.
it's his day off. It's Labor Day today. So, oh, there he is.
Yeah, should be that one.
That one. Apply.
There he is. Hello, Hendry.
That's me.
Good evening.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
So it's already deep in the evening for you, right?
Yeah, it's 11 p.m. in the evening.
Eric's asking, are you already wearing your pajamas?
What's that?
If you're already going to bed almost.
Yeah, almost. I just can my son go to bed, and then later I will be. Yeah.
So we already briefly touched on it. The next-gen AMD support on our existing AM4 motherboard, so the 300 and the 400 series. But that's not as easy as it sounds, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's it's not like impossible, but we try to do our best to, move forward to support all the stocky AM4 CPU with our own technology and know-how. Yes.
So we have a lot of different factors that come into place. So, for example, the PCB layers, the VRM design, but also BIOS layout is a very important thing here. So maybe we can just go through a couple of topics.
Yeah, sure.
Here we can. What I have in front of me, the slide. I don't know if you can also see it, Henry. The DDR4 support matrix for Pinnacle Ridge. So Pinnacle Ridge is the second generation Ryzen, so the 2000 series, right?
Yes.
And here we can already see some differences in between a 4-layer PCB and a 6-layer PCB. Can you maybe a little bit explain what that does to, for example, memory speed?
Okay. Memory control. Actually, memory controller is inside the CPU. So there's a lot of tracing lanes or the schematic inside the different layer of PCB. So ideally, more layer of PCB, for example, 6 or 8 or above, they will allow more space for those spacing and the tracing for the optimized schematic of memory. So that allows a better signal quality, and since DDR4 is very high speed data transfer from 2133 up to we have a world record high 5500. So it's very high speed. So PCB layers does matter for the high speed data.
So the more PCB layers you have in your motherboard, the cleaner the signal will be to your memory modules.
Yeah, basically that is the situation. Yeah.
And I think it's usually like the higher tier board you get, the more layers you will have on your PCB, right? So on an entry-level board, you will have fewer layers than on a higher tier board.
Yeah, not just because of the you need more space for the schematic, but also you have to considering more features that one motherboard can provide you. So, for example, more PCIe slots, more USB, and more M.2 SSD slots, and so on. So that's why we remain more PCB layers on the premium model.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also an interesting thing we see here, we of course see the different memory speeds based on how many modules you use, but we also see single rank and dual rank. Can you maybe explain what that is?
Okay. That is because basically we follow the AMD design guideline. So that's the situation for AMD to separate different rules for the single rank and the dual rank memory. So to provide the best and optimized solution for the DDR4. So basically, this is the AMD guideline. Yeah.
Okay. So we see some differences also, that single rank in some situations can also give you a higher memory speed than dual rank. And it also matters if you're using, for example, 2 memory modules or 4 memory modules. So this is also a challenge towards next-gen CPUs, right? Because we usually see a trend that if you're going from, for example, the first generation of Ryzen, I think we were at 2667 megahertz, and in the second generation we already went to 2933. So it's a trend that with newer generations you will get higher memory speeds, but that's a challenge on existing boards, right?
Yes, it's kind of a challenge, but from our point of view, I would say this is a kind of a flexible design for the memory, either single rank or dual rank. Because right now, in the memory module market is quite, huge. So different types of the memory chip or the technology or the form factor is quite mass. So I would say AMD is trying to find out a flexible solution for different users. So that's why they have the such guideline for the AM4 platform.
Maybe it's also interesting if we take a look at one of our product pages. Here, for example, I have the B450 Game Pro Carbon AC. So that's one of our most popular B450 models at the moment. And if we're looking at the support page, go to Compatibility. There we have several lists that with, for example, supported CPUs, but also supported memory modules. And these are really, really, really long lists. So for example, for Summit Ridge, the first generation Ryzen, Raven Ridge, which are with integrated graphics, the APUs, Pinnacle Ridge, the 2000 series. So if I click one of those lists, it's like an endless list of verified modules.
Yeah, you're right. Because based on the AMD policy, since they claim AM4 socket will available until 2020. So it's a long run. So based on different generation of CPU,
are you still scrolling?
I just keep on scrolling while you talk, Henry, because I'm not even close to the bottom of the list.
So we need to optimize in regarding each different generation of CPU. As I said, the memory controller is inside the CPU, so it's a long list.
Okay, now I finished. It took a while, but
like 20 minutes.
So
20 minutes.
We have this huge list of memory compatibility. So this, if you're going to support or trying to support a next generation CPUs on existing motherboards, we need to compile this list completely over again, right?
Yes. Basically, this is our on-hand list, but also we keep adding new memory modules from the module house. So it will growing fast, especially this year, since AMD is growing their market share so fast. Then every memory players, they jump into the AMD Ryzen platform. So that will be a long challenge.
Big thing.
Yeah.
So let me get back to the slides, because now we had memory speeds and the layers in the PCB that all matter, the memory verification for the QVL. But also with in between different generations, we can see sometimes very big steps in power consumption. So here I have a slide with what we saw when going from the first generation of AMD Ryzen Threadripper, so really high-end CPUs with many cores, to the second generation. And there we can see a few interesting things, because not only the core count doubled, so now we're going up to 32 physical cores, 64 threads with simultaneous multi-threading, but we also see new technologies within CPUs. In this case, PBO stands for Precision Boost Overdrive. And that also can really make like a huge step in power draw or other things that really matter on your motherboard design, right?
Yeah, that's it. Since the biggest difference from the start of the AM4 is the CPU cores. It's like it's already CPU core wars and a battle. So
but which is a good thing, right? Because everybody will get more cores.
Yeah, basically it's a good thing. So we have to jump out of the legacy box. So there's no more dual core or quad core battle. It's already 8, 16 or higher.
Yeah.
So I would say this is the biggest challenge to motherboard maker. So just imagine the VRM design, the power control, thermal dissipation solution, and power balance between CPU and VRM, and also you have to considering the memory quality. So that would be a biggest challenge to motherboard makers, I would say.
Yeah. So basically, when you design a mainboard, you of course from AMD you get certain specs, and you design that everything works fine, even for the highest rated CPUs. With that in mind, I mean, if we look at our mainboard lineup, we always have some entry level models, who are good for normal office use. You can even game on them, but don't expect them to overclock. And then we have the higher end models with a more beefy VRM, which you can also use to overclock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a challenge there to like what you here see with the Threadripper, to Threadripper 2 when it came on the market, to make that run also smoothly and cool. I mean, all the temperatures, or let's say all the speeds are generating heat, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's also something we did, for example, with the Threadripper, because we created a new motherboard for the second generation, which was the MEG X399 Creation. And also something we did there was an extreme VRM on there, because the 32 core is totally different in requirements than the first generation Ryzen. So it's a lot more tough on your motherboard. And this is actually a screenshot from a video that Bill Zoid made. He owns the channel actually Hardcore Overclocking. Maybe some of the viewers will be familiar with it. And he also made a complete analysis of our motherboard. And I think he was quite impressed with it.
Yeah, so when we, we need to make a new mainboard because of new CPUs. Does it mean that the old X399 don't support the
second generation
Threadripper 2?
Threadripper,
They still do, right, Henry?
Yeah, still do. They will
because this was one of the discussions online. MSI is making new mainboards, and they don't support the old one, so they can earn more money. But this is not the case.
No, it's not the case. Yeah, you're right.
So it's just that, just making sure that we have the optimal mainboard for each segment, and each time when there are new technical requirements, we need to bring out new mainboard support this to the maximum.
Yep, of course. From AMD point of view, they keep releasing the new generation CPU, no matter it's the Threadripper or the AM4. For the people, especially for the high-end people, power users, they also need a compatible motherboard to work with the new CPU. So that's why we keep updating our hardware design, but also the BIOS support. To allowing the optimize the solution for those power users, right?
Yeah.
So
and for
that's
example,
what we do.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, for example, one of the things where you need a new mainboard for, I think AMD in the 2000 series, they introduced some features like XFR 2.0, and they had some other features. So you could put in the Ryzen 2000 was working in X370 board. However, you could not benefit fully from it because the old mainboard didn't have those new CPU features included.
Yeah. If you're talking about a CPU-oriented technology, it always depends on the CPU. So basically, if you put the Ryzen 2000 series on for example, X370, it still works on the CPU technology by itself.
Yeah. Okay. And I think this will be also this generation, right? We will need to make new mainboards for the next generation CPUs. Because also here you see on the screen.
We have an interesting graph, like when we transferred from first generation Ryzen Threadripper to the second generation. This is the reason why we put a lot more power phases on the Creation, for example. Because here you can see the difference in temperature if you're using an 8-phase VRM or a 16-phase VRM. And 8 phases was totally fine for a 16-core processor. But when you're using a 32-core processor, it really becomes a different story. And then it really matters whether or not you're using a newer motherboard that was specifically designed for that type of CPUs.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we always analyze different generation CPU to allow us to design a proper motherboard, especially on the VRM. In the modern world, when I am talking about a modern world, it's a hyper count war. So on the screen, as you show us, 8 phases, it's capable, but not a continual workload for the long run. But with 16 phases VRM design, you can see it's much better for the long run, 24/7 daily run. So I believe we are doing the right thing on the right track, offering the best solution for high end.
Yeah, so basically the conclusion is, people, they can still use their old, some of the old mainboards, to upgrade to the next generation, but there will also be new mainboards for the new features and to make
to
more
really
optimal
give,
use.
The best experience that you can get from the newest generation, because they're specifically designed for those kind of CPUs.
Yeah, besides that, you also talk about new technology. I mean, if you have a mainboard of 2 years ago, audio improved, you have new audio codecs, you have faster new types of interfaces. We're talking about USB 3.1, 3.1 Gen 2, faster LAN indeed. On some boards you even have already the 1000 gigabit connections. Is it 1000 gigabit?
No, 10 gigabit.
10 gigabit, yeah,
10
gigabit. 1000 megabit.
Yeah.
10 gigabit connections indeed. So, you really need to pick what's important for you and decide yourself, do I want to have my current mainboard or do I want one of the newer ones? Because
sometimes it may work with your current motherboard, but you might miss out on certain features that a newer CPU offers.
Yeah, and that's what we want to make clear also with this discussion, to give you some insight on what needs to be done and what the challenges are. Because it's not that we are saying, hey, we spend a lot of time into testing next generation CPUs, into making sure they can run on the old platforms. But of course, they need to run stable, because if we have a BIOS update and we tell you, hey, you can run a new CPU, but it's crashing each time, or for example, it's throttling, it's not something that you want. So, and maybe I think that's one of the next slides. This is something about the flowchart.
So this is quite a technical slide. So Hendry, maybe you can explain us what we all see here.
Okay. One of the challenge from AMD is about they are using the same socket, but to match different generation CPU. So they rely on the Adisa code, which is a BIOS update, to get the latest support. So whenever we get the latest or revision Adisa code, and we need different support, including the AMI. So AMI is the module BIOS vendor of MSI. We are a very close partner. So once we get the source code from AMI and also the AMD, we need to compiling all of them, but also including our own BIOS features, such as M-Flash hardware monitor, and also board explorer, and also the overclocking solution. Combining them together in one binary file, then we can release to the internal team for the testing. When I'm talking about testing, that could be sort of different phases, like signal analysis, production engineering, and overclocking, performance, thermal, hardware checking, and also the software, and especially memory QVL. Memory QVL is just like Mihail just showed you.
That's a qualified vendor list, right?
Yeah.
QVL.
Yeah, I would say, this is very, very long list. I prepare one.
I noticed. My finger still hurts from all the scrolling through that list.
I'll prepare one example like this. You know, this is a ruler. If first generation like this, and 2 generation, next generation. So it will be longer and longer.
Yeah.
So every time we are facing the new generation, we do it from the very beginning, start over again. So what we're trying to do is keep the quality to make sure that the user, they have the old motherboard to get the latest support as possible. So we do BIOS compiling, validation, and back and forth again and again until we qualify all the function and the quality. Then we make official release. So basically, it's not like a 1 day or 1 week. It's like months.
I think indeed this is a big misunderstanding because I think 1 year ago when AMD released 1000 series CPUs, they had a blog and they updated, hey, we released the new AGISA code. And everybody was asking us, oh, so when MSI, when can I have the new AGISA code? Because it improves this and this, AMD told us. Yeah. But this takes like more than a month, right? The whole process.
Yeah. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to add some comment. AGISA code is one thing, only one part of the BIOS. So based on the AGISA code, there is so much to do on the validation and the testing. Not just the hardware function, but also the compatibility of the software, like a gaming or the different application or the operating system and our own software.
Do you then do benchmarks? Like, is somebody playing games? Because I'm qualified for that job.
No, you are too expensive. Okay, yeah, we do have a dedicated team for running gaming benchmarks based on different generation of AGISA. So yes, that we do for both the hardware and the production and the software side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have some questions in the chat. How many years of schooling did you take to be qualified for this job? So maybe you can tell us a little bit how you. What is your education?
University.
Like technical university?
Like a.
You're not a bioengineer, I hope.
No, I'm not a BIOS engineer, but yeah, I trying to speak to engineering. So basically, I was information technology.
Information technology.
Yes.
Okay. So and then you went to MSI and you were already directly a hardware engineer.
Yes. Things in the day one when I am entering MSI, I'm doing the benchmark. So okay. I know.
So you were playing the games.
Yeah, I'm playing the game, but now I don't have time. So I know the pain. I know the pain of the benchmark and the communication between engineering teams. Mm-hmm. So, but no pain, no gain, right? So that's why we, pay a lot of effort to gain some more premium results.
Yeah. So maybe the next slide. I think that's also talking about the AGISA code and memory, because I mean we keep coming back on the memory, but this is from what I know very difficult issue or a very difficult task, because it's not like that we have a like memory type A and it works on let's say X370, and then it works also on X470, right?
Yeah.
So each time, each new AGISA code, we need to check them all if they're like still optimized, and sometimes we need to fine tune the items.
Yes, because as I said, AGISA code is one thing, but when they revise another revision, then we have to find out the difference between previous revision. And plus, we have our own solution on the memory, not just the basic function, but also the overclocking. You have to think of considering different CPU like Ryzen 7, Ryzen 5 3, and also the Raven Ridge APU.
So that's also why we have the separate QVL lists per model.
Yeah. That's correct. So based on this situation, we also have different phase like memory chip supplier like on the screen. Samsung, Hynix, Micron, Nanya, they have their own technology and electrical design. So how to combine them into one BIOS with our own knowledge, it's a tough challenge.
Yeah.
So
how many people are working on the memory compatibility part? Is it only you, or are like 5 people, 3 people?
Unfortunately, we have only 8 people to doing so.
Full time?
But this 8, sorry?
Are they full-time doing memory testing?
Full time, yes,
wow.
Of course. And they
not
also
playing games. That's somebody else.
That would be you. That would be you. Okay. And they these 8 guys, they talk to engineer daily. So you cannot imagine how many beta BIOS or the testing BIOS internally every day, like 10 revision, 20 revision. Just the goal is to find out the solution of different situations. Yeah.
And this beta BIOS, you say internally. So MSI, we're not really releasing beta BIOSes. Can you maybe tell me why? What's our policy for that?
Right now, in fact, since last year, we do have our new policy of releasing beta BIOS based on special conditions.
Yeah.
So if there's a urgent case or the especially like compatibility issues, then we will release a beta BIOS for end user for them can try by their own. Yeah. So that's the new policy since last year.
Yeah, I have a question on YouTube from Unknown. For overclocking, does the memory rank matter? And also the rank, for instance, if you get 2+1 or a 2+1 rank setup tree, does it affect the overclockability of the memory paired with the CPU?
Yes, of course. From the basic... No. For the basic idea, the ideal solution is you put the 2 exactly memory module or 4 memory module. They are totally the same to get the basic or the optimum quality. But if you put a 2+1 rank, dual rank and single rank together, then that will cause unparalleled signals. Signal problem in between. So we always encourage people to install exactly the same memory modules to work out a better solution.
Yeah. So if you're combining different modules, that can simply cost you performance, right? Because you might need to clock them lower to have a stable system.
That's also why I have the memory kits. Yeah, you know all the DIMMs
are identical.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So and this you have to do each time for each like chipset, platform, memory type. So are you in direct contact with, for example, Hynix and Nanya, or are you in direct contact like with like the memory vendors like Corsair?
All of them. Yeah, we communicate with the memory module house like Corsair, G-Skill, Kingston, and so on. So basically, they are the key person who combine the memory chip and on the PCB. They are the one to release the product. So we talk to their engineering and also their testing team to have a comparison result in from MSI and their side. So that's why we spend a lot of time on the communication in different partners. I think we have over 10 partners, especially on the showing on the QVL list. So that's our effort. Yeah.
Maybe we should ask all our partners to just make one type of memory. That would save so much work and testing.
Yeah, but that's also, I mean, the business is also to have different
Exactly,
memories.
that people can choose between different speeds.
I have another question, Henry. Sorry for this. This one is from Twitch. Why are we still having 1K polling rate in USB since there are already 240 Hz monitors?
Any chance of seeing motherboards featuring USB rates more than 1000 Hz?
More than 1000 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I have no idea about this, but
I think this is also tied to the USB standards, right?
Yeah.
This is not really something we can do as a motherboard manufacturer.
No. That's based on the USB alliance. So there's it's an organization for to have the guideline. So we follow the guideline, and but also the AMD side to have the solution on the motherboard. Yeah. It's a standard.
So maybe if they come with a new standard that allows for a higher polling rates, then we will also incorporate it on our motherboards.
Yes, of course. For the channel motherboard, I kind of think the latest technology on the market, such as USB, we always follow the latest one. And some of the end users, they probably heard some news or the internet news about USB 3.2 or the USB 4 from Intel. So that's the latest technology we always follow. So when the time coming and we have the best solution, then we will follow. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe the polling rate is increased in those solutions. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Another question. Will you guys integrate M.2 on motherboards? I think we can...
I think maybe the M.2 SSD.
Maybe you can show this. So... Yeah, so what we have, because integrated the memory on the board, no, but we have an M.2 slot over here and over here one. So at the bottom and at the top. And we have an M.2 shield. So actually this is a, well, it's, we don't have a screwdriver over here. But this is basically a heat shield for the M.2 to prevent throttling, because M.2 devices are quite fast nowadays. So each time they generate heat, they start throttling, which basically means they're losing performance, slowing down. And with this kind of M.2 frozzer, it will cool down a bit more, and it will, I don't want to say prevent throttling, but it will delay the throttling process.
And I think coming back to the question also, when we would integrate an SSD on there already, you limit your possibilities, because now people can choose their own size, their own speed. They can pick whatever is important for their usage. If you would already install an SSD in there, then people will be tied to that SSD.
And especially price, because SSD pricing, it's like what Hendry said about memory. More memory is becoming cheaper, so more and more memory vendors or modules are coming on the market. That's also for M.2. This will, the storage price will also go down. And either you buy a very expensive motherboard, including memory, which doesn't fit your needs, either too much or too, now we have like a gaming Pro Carbon, then we have a game Pro Carbon 100 gig, 200 gig,
exactly.
It will be...
And also if you, for example, now we're continuing different generations on the same platform. Like for example, if you bought a 300 series motherboard, and if you got a top tier model that can continue with next gen AMD CPUs, then you might have the same motherboard for maybe 3, 4, even 5 years. If you buy an SSD right now, you might opt for a 250 gigabyte model. In 4 or 5 years time, that will be way too small.
Yeah.
So it's way easier.
Games are also getting bigger.
Exactly.
More higher res content, more VR stuff.
And the SSD market is also developing, so SSDs are getting better, getting faster. So if you have a slot, you can easily upgrade it without being tied to older technology.
That's also why I'm
because
looking forward to the new
motherboards.
platform of AMD, because they will have Gen 4 PCI Express. So hopefully,
Yeah.
we will see some faster SSDs again.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's also the benefit of the PC platform. You can, all the slots are there. You can upgrade whatever you want, whatever budget you have, whatever special needs you have. It's multi-purpose.
Yeah. So if we install too much, there is nothing to upgrade anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another thing that is quite important for if you're going to use the new next-gen AMD CPU on an existing motherboard, you will need to do a BIOS upgrade.
I can show it on this
Yeah.
board. It's a little bit different over here. It's basically this button.
BIOS Flashback Plus, it makes it a lot easier to upgrade your BIOS because you don't have to install a CPU, you don't have to install memory, you don't have to install a graphics card. You only plug your motherboard into a power supply. So you're using the 24-pin ATX, and in this case the 8-pin plus 4-pin EPS.
Yeah.
You put in the memory drive in the right USB port, then you press a button. I think you have to wait for 4 or 5 minutes.
No,
and your BIOS is
Henry,
upgraded.
how long do you have to wait for BIOS Flashback Plus?
I would say that less than 3 minutes.
Oh, less than
Less
3
than
minutes.
See? 4 or 5 minutes. Come on.
So it will
He
take
says
you
less
less time
than
than
3
installing.
minutes. That's just to be polite to you. He actually means 1 minute. You're totally wrong.
But if you're doing that, don't drag out your USB drive.
No.
after
No,
1
no.
minute.
Don't
Just
do
wait
that.
until it's finished.
Yeah, but this is on a lot of our B450 boards, also
Yeah.
on some X470 boards, so it's very easy to upgrade. So you don't need a CPU, just put your USB key in, power the board on, and it's flashed.
Yeah, so very easy BIOS upgrading if
Yeah.
you're going to a newer CPU.
Also, if your BIOS crashes, you can use this tool, no need to have CPU. If you're stuck, this can help you already.
And this is actually
Yeah,
already
of
on
course.
many of our 300 and 400 series motherboards.
Yeah, indeed.
And it looks different from motherboard to motherboard. Because
Yeah,
in the slide you will see a different button than what
so
you just saw.
not all boards have this.
No, it really depends on the model.
Yeah, indeed. BIOS Flashback.
But there is so far what we can do, but there is also stuff you can do to create the perfect environment for a future CPU.
Yeah, so we're already working hard on making sure that the some of the boards, we're not making any promise that all the boards, all the old chipsets are going to support something. This is still under testing, and when the time is right, we will release the future BIOS upgrades. But it's not only about the motherboard. It's not only about the next generation CPU. It's also about cooling, because I think this shows already, right?
Yeah, so here we see 3 types of CPU coolers. We have the stock cooler that
Yeah.
comes with the 2700X CPU. Then we have the Corsair L, which is like a big tower type of cooler. And we have the Corsair H 110i GT, which is an all-in-one water cooling system.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can already see a difference in the
So
temperature.
it's like stock,
stock
custom air, of
Yeah.
stock air, custom air, and
and all-in-one water cooling.
I want to say stock water cooling, but it's
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an all-in-one water cooling
Yeah.
system. So
if I think we did some time ago. Peter did this, a live stream about water cooling,
yeah,
about custom loop water cooling. So I'm not sure if it's better than this, but
it depends on your setup. If
Yeah.
you're going for a high-end custom water cooling setup, you can get even better performance.
Yeah.
But what you see with modern CPUs is that they actually the clock speed, it can automatically adjust itself based on the temperature. So if your CPU cooling is better, you will get better performance essentially. We already saw this at graphics cards, for example. So you had the variable clock speeds. You now also have that on your CPUs. Like this is a Ryzen 7 2700X. That's already a CPU that's on the market right now. This already incorporates this technology. So you see if the temperature is lower, your clock speed will be higher. So
good cooling is important to have, and especially we already talked like from Threadripper 1 to Threadripper 2, from I believe it was 16 to 32 cores.
Mhm.
In the future, this might only get more. So
Yeah.
it's important to take this in mind.
And also, if you're going for a top tier CPU with many cores, it will produce more heat, so you will need a beefier cooler. Otherwise, you will clock it down. You will not get the maximum potential out of your CPU. So if your cooling is too weak, it doesn't make sense to buy a top tier CPU because it will not perform at its maximum.
Yeah. So if you guys on the chat have still any question, because I see a lot of chatter, but nothing especially for Henry. Because otherwise, Henry, what's the time? Almost 12 o'clock, right?
Yeah, it's almost.
I think it's a quarter past bedtime for Henry.
Almost bedtime.
Yeah, about. But after a few gaming.
Oh, okay, what game do you play?
No, it's an old game, Diablo 3.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think Diablo 3 is still pretty popular, even though it's quite old.
Yeah.
I know quite a few people who still play that.
Nice game.
For old people, yeah, I play Diablo 3.
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Henry, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining.
Thanks so much for joining.
Explaining everything. I think it's pretty clear that it's not like what Mike said the whole time. Why you called Michiel today?
I'm always called Michiel because that's my name, but because it's so hard to pronounce, we use
we call you Mike.
instead. Yeah.
Oh, okay, anyway. So what Mike said, it's not just a simple mouse click, and current products are upgraded for future CPU use.
There's a lot of work and testing involved.
Yeah. So thanks, Henry, for making that clear.
Yeah, let's do our best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I go back to this slide. Maybe
we can pick another winner.
Yeah. I can do another.
So how are we on shares?
Today we have, or maybe you explain. I will draw the winner.
Okay. So based on the amount of shares, we might give away an extra code for the Division 2. So if you haven't participated yet, go to msi.com.
I'm refreshing.
/2/insider. Maybe you can also post the link in chat again, because some people could not see it on the page. So if you follow the link that is in chat, that's a Facebook link?
Yeah. That's for sharing.
That's for sharing. But maybe you can also post the link to the giveaway itself. That's the Gleam link that Eric will post in a minute. If you participate in Gleam, you will have the opportunity to do certain actions. More actions you perform, bigger chance you'll have to win. And I think we have another winner.
Yeah, and Facebook shares.
So did the people already earn an extra prize?
No.
Not yet?
No.
So make sure.
So
to
one
also
of the
share on
shares we
Facebook.
draw extra prize. So the next winner is Peter Seljem.
Congratulations, Peter. You also won a game code for The Division 2.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So maybe because you had some surprise and I already gave it away.
You already spoiled it.
So some people already saw it. I clicked wrong.
The people who tuned in early in the live stream.
I can. Oh, those earplugs. I can unplug.
Yeah, we can just drop them in.
Unplug me. Oh.
Eric was struggling with the program a little bit.
Panic.
And then he accidentally already revealed our surprise for now.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah, ready. So there it is, behind us. You can see we recently already released 2 new cases. So we had the Vampiric and the Gungnir. You might have already seen them in a couple of our live streams. So our Vampiric is our entry-level model. The Gungnir is our mid-range model.
Yeah.
But now we're also about to release a high-end model.
I call this Shakira.
Shakira.
Oh, not Shakira.
Not Shakira, not the singer.
I like her.
Like from the song, what was it called? Whenever, Wherever.
Yeah.
We're meant to be together.
Actually, I studied in Santo Domingo a long time ago. And there I also joined the concert of her. And she's actually from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
So everything in Spanish. So I don't like the English stuff. my Spanish is...
You prefer the original songs?
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, let's talk about
Back
Shakira.
to Shakira.
So why all the fancy names? I mean, Vampiric, what are they?
They're weapons of gods.
So it's not like what AMD said. So we have a lot of names and then we drop some of the worst ones. And this.
No. And Shakira is actually, I think it's an X in Slavic language.
Okay. So for the Vikings.
No, Vikings are not from Slavic countries.
Oh, so what is it?
Yeah, I'm not sure which god it is. It's a weapon of one.
Of a god.
Of an ancient god. So
Okay.
that's where the name Shakira comes from.
Okay.
And behind us we see the 500G, and the G stands for gold.
Yeah, so this I wanted to show today because it matches quite nice with the AMD 50 years.
Exactly, the gold edition CPU that AMD now has for their 50th anniversary. And you might recognize the design a little bit because this is also something we used on our GS Stealth notebook series. So you really have the black and black design with the golden accents.
Yeah. So this is MAG?
This is MPG.
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 Okay. Performance.
Yeah.
Cool.
The MPG Sakura 500G.
Yeah, so this one comes also with, on top I see a lot of connectors.
Yeah, so you will have 4 Type A ports, but also 1 Type C port.
Type C, nice.
Yeah, that was not included on our
previous models.
On previous models like Vampiric and Gangnir. But Sakura will also have a Type C port on top. Another cool thing about this case is that it is made from aluminum. So the front doesn't only look like aluminum, it's actual aluminum. So it's really, really sturdy. It also has tempered glass side panels, so all very premium. You can see the handle, and you can open it like a door.
I already, when I visited our headquarters in Taiwan in December, I already saw this one and really nice.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I was really impressed.
It's pretty big, isn't it?
Then it still had a different name. We changed the name last moment. What was the old name?
Balrog.
Oh yeah, Balrog, yeah. So we changed the name, but yeah, it's very impressive. Very impressive case.
So it offers a lot of space, so you can go up to an extended ATX motherboard. You can use very long graphics cards. You will have a lot of possibilities for cable management, storage
Does it support
options.
Mystic Light?
Does it support Mystic Light?
Yeah.
This model does not come with RGB.
Oh.
But maybe we might also do a model with RGB for the people who are into RGB. So I won't tell too much about that yet, but make sure to keep an eye on it. So for the Sakura 500G, that's really the black and golden accents.
I also see,
nice
if you move a little bit, it's me, yeah. Like this, you see here a lot of drive bays.
Where? So behind you.
Yeah?
Yeah. There you can put all your hard disk drives. If you're still using 2.5-inch SSDs, you can of course install them.
Oh.
You have a shroud over your power supply. Further,
and
all the way in the corner.
This thing?
The handle. There you can open the door.
I should do
the
like
tempered
this.
glass side panel.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So that's our new case. Please drop in chat what you think of it. Let's see if we already got some.
When does it launch in North America? I think you will see this in what is it now? May. I think we will officially. This is a sneak peek, so I think we will officially launch this during Computex, which is an event in Taipei, which is end of this month.
End of this month.
Yeah, end of this month, beginning June. I'm not sure. And then probably it will be shipping. So let's say middle of June, I would say.
Yeah,
around middle of June.
Yeah. People are asking how the airflow is in this case. It's maybe hard to see in the images, but it has got very decent air vents on the side.
Yeah.
So it can take a lot of air from the outside.
This is also a performance model. That's why this is it supports extended ATX motherboards. So
this really supports the top tier motherboards with top tier CPUs.
Yeah.
And they tend to have a higher power usage. So they
you see Hendry in the chat?
Exactly. Hi Hendry, is still there. I thought you were going to bed.
No, he was going to play Diablo.
Oh yeah, going to play Diablo.
Yeah.
I think Hendry has 2 screens, like one screen for the stream
and
Diablo
and typing.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it will definitely be suitable for high-end hardware.
So, a question: how is the all-in-one water cooling support?
Oh, that's a good one.
But it supports like 3 on top, I believe, 2 in the back.
I'm not sure if it goes to 360 or 420.
Yeah,
I have to look that up.
Yeah. Anyway, they had a lot of numbers.
Anyway, in a couple of weeks, we will definitely go more in depth about this case.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys like the design.
Henry says, I need to finish watching this live stream. I just go to bed or play your game, Henry. Does it support water cooling builds? Yes, it does. So there's a lot of room inside, a lot of space. And also supports vertical VGA.
Yeah.
So
Also a cool
you
feature.
can you can put it vertically against the tempered glass. Really looks
So
nice.
you can really see the front of your GPU.
Yeah.
Also in the front of the case, it has extra large 200mm fans to get even better airflow into the case and a more silent operation. Because if you use bigger fans, they can spin slower while still transferring a lot of air into the case.
Somebody give me the giveaway link. I'm only here for the giveaway. Okay, here you have it.
Okay, so maybe we should wait for 2 minutes to pick a
Yeah.
final winner. So people can
Is
still participate in the
AMD
giveaway.
finally going to get an AM4 Godlike or an MAG board? Yeah, who knows?
Maybe,
Yeah,
could be.
could be. Makes sense.
And if it's not here this generation yet, we might use your ID for the next generation.
Somebody has a problem.
Oh,
I'm jealous
man.
of anyone who can a full set of MSI gear. Yeah. Same
I have
thing.
a full set of MSI.
I think last week you were playing they were playing Mortal Kombat.
Mhm.
They damaged the game controllers almost. you know.
Yeah, they were
Button bashing.
Bottom bashing, yeah.
Yeah. So pricing is at this moment still unknown, and this
Yeah.
I think it will be around Computex.
Yeah, and I think then we will also announce more about the pricing and the different
Features, specifications,
the
etc.
different versions that it will get.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah,
I
so
think-
this is exclusive
Yeah, sneak
on
peek.
MSI Insiders. So that's
Exactly.
yeah.
So maybe we can pick another winner.
Yeah, so I'm first going to refresh our Facebook page to check if we have more than 100 likes, because then we're going to give away an extra game code. No, I'm sorry. We need to do this more. We never did this.
No, we never.
Maybe 100 is too much.
So what's the goal for next time?
We need to discuss.
Okay.
More than 50, I would say. That should be easy.
Yeah, it should be doable.
Everybody has Facebook. Okay, so yeah, sorry, no extra game code, but we're still going to give away one game code.
Yeah, we still have one left.
Well, we have more left.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. But maybe then it's not Division 2. Who knows? Okay, so our last winner is... You are the one who was doing the difficult names, right?
Okay.
The bottom one. John?
Oh, John, easy. Congratulations, John. You
No,
won.
No.
Oh, I also have to do the last name. Oh man.
Yeah.
Kiriakou, I think.
Yeah, Kiriakou. That
Kiriakou?
sounds cool.
Yeah, John Kiriakou.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you won a code for The Division 2.
Yes, we see the Periscope or the Twitter comments. Yeah, we see the money comment.
We can see all the different channels, so it doesn't matter if you're watching on
Yeah.
YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, Mixer.
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 Yeah.
We can see all the chat.
Last week we had one viewer on Mixer.
Yeah, I think Mixer is not our biggest platform.
No. Indeed. Anyway, so thanks for joining. I hope we showed you, we gave you a little bit insight about what work we need to do to make everything compatible. So this is still work in progress, and when the time is right, you will hear it.
So no final compatibility list yet, but we will, once the time is there that everything is properly tested, we will release a list, of course, with compatible models.
Yeah, and we talked with Don from AMD. We got his perspective on this. And yeah, he couldn't say a lot because of the NDA, you know. It's official.
Still quite early.
Yeah, still quite early indeed. And I got a nice sticker. Yeah. So anyway, next week, Wednesday, we will be live again talking about our MSI notebooks indeed. So
and also with the new generation
we're talking about
RTX graphics in the notebooks.
8 Gen, 9 Gen
9 Gen
CPUs. We're talking about RTX graphics. We have very thin, lightweight gaming notebooks. So I will not be here. You also not, right?
Me neither.
No.
Peter will be there.
Peter, and somebody who knows about notebooks.
Yeah, a specialist on notebooks.
A specialist, indeed. So that's going to be for next week. Thanks for watching.
Make sure to tune in next week. Same place, same time.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching today, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.